Last night, I got a phone call from a longtime coaching buddy. After 27 years and numerous interviews, he's finally getting his first opportunity to be a high school varsity head football coach. Then the realization hit that the big chair now belongs to him. All the pressure is on him, all the eyes are on him. How is he going to do this? Because he knows this could be his one and only shot. My advice to him: concentrate on the first 14 days, win them, and you'll win your program. All right, Coach, thanks for coming back to the channel. This is Coach Coltharp coming to you again here at the Varsity Edge. If you want to check out what we're doing with this program, go down to our website at varsityedge.com. Got a lot of tools that can help you, especially if you're dealing with today's problem, which is winning the first 14 days of becoming a varsity head football coach. I'm not going to fluff you up if you haven't subscribed. I hope you do. It's a free way to help us build our community. Let's jump into the presentation. So there's really three pillars that I think you need to follow if you're trying to win your first 14 days, because your model has to be to stabilize the program. You want to work on stabilizing the school. Obviously, changing the head football coach is a big change. Then you have the locker room where, all the different players, guys who love the coach or guys who hate the coach, guys who are looking for new opportunities, guys who may be trying to leave to go somewhere else. You got to shore all that up in your first 2 weeks. And then the last part of that would be, stabilizing community, meeting with the booster club, controlling the narrative. You really want to talk to your parents and boosters as quick as possible, so you can put out your message before their message gets to them. Because obviously, if it's not stable, you can't build it. So that's really, really important. So let's talk about that first pillar, controlling the school. You want to jump on eligibility and grades right off jump. That's most important. It's your eligibility sheet's almost like your first roster. It's the most important thing that you're going to deal with in the spring, especially if you're getting in there like my buddy. He doesn't get to start till April, and so that's kind of real late in the game as far as making sure all that's taken care of. Re-meet with the admin now. It's a different relationship. It used to be, hey, prospect versus employer. Now it's colleague. You got to go in there and make sure everything's aligned and show them what you're going to do. And I have a great tool over on the website too. It's called the Tuesday Plan. It's an eligibility spreadsheet that's really, really cool. Go check that out. And then you want to look at some existing system. What's the weight program looking like? What are the schedules? This is a big time of the year to make sure you have your scrimmages already set up. Is the game schedule for the fall already done? And make sure that all that's handled. And what that really does is it just kind of removes chaos inside the building, because it's been a very chaotic period in most cases. Because obviously, if everything was going perfect, you wouldn't be there. So you want to know who can play and how things are actually being run. Bobby Bowden used to say, if you try to change everything at once, you won't change nothing. So you really want to get a good idea of what's going on before you try to implement changes. The second pillar would be evaluate your people, your players and your staff. You want to interview your current staff and building, coaches, guys who are in the building. I think that's really, really important. A lot of people on the internet, they just think that you can come into a high school and bring all the people you want and let go people. And that's just never the case. I mean, very rarely has that happened. I think I've been able to bring one or two at the most anytime I've gotten a job. And most of my buddies are the same way. You want to identify your player leaders, find your upperclassmen, those guys who are really good players, and meet with them. I would suggest meeting with each senior individually, especially if you're in a small program. Build your real roster. Who's coming back, who's on the JV, who are some multi-sport athletes that maybe the former staff has identified. And this is one of those things that you can get into when you talk to the other coaches. But it really shows what you actually have. I would also suggest maybe look at some film from last year on Huddle if you had that opportunity. I think that's really important as well. But you can't lead what you haven't evaluated. And I don't know about you. I don't necessarily trust what everybody always says. I got a kid of mine who's actually a coach now, and I can remember I met him when he was going to the 10th grade, and one of the assistants in the building, basically said he wasn't worth a plug nickel. And that was his words, not mine. And that kid ended up being a 3-year starter, and now he's a high school football coach. And he just needed a little love and guidance, and we were just really happy to be able to do that for him. Because sometimes a change of scenery is all kids need, just a change of ideas, a change of voice. The third pillar is, winning that community. Perception and trust are very, very important. Within 48 hours, you need to have a letter out to the parents, or have a meeting set up, that would be great. Booster club outreach, figure out how that works. And if you haven't had that conversation with your principal and AD yet, what's the booster club do? I've been at places where the booster club handles all cloth. I've been at a place that didn't have a booster club at all, or just one in name only. So figure all that out early. That take first 2 weeks. I used to do videos about the first 30 days, but I realized you don't really have 30 days. After 2 weeks, if you don't have the narrative under control and those basic ideas, you're going to struggle. So I've really revised this into the 14-day plan. Daily visibility, and I think this is huge. Baseball games, track meets, basketball season just ended here in North Carolina, so we can't do that, but baseball games, track meets, girls soccer matches, whatever you got to do, tennis, whatever's going on in your community, spring fling, Easter egg hunts, church, whatever's going on in the community. You want to be there, say hi, just give people FaceTimes, or, just listen. And I think this is the thing that's the most important. During this process, you want to listen way more than you talk. Listen way more than you talk. And what it does is it buys you time and support, and you keep the job through the community. As long as the community's happy, man, most things will go well. But once they start grumbling and once you lose them, that's when it becomes an issue. So very, very important is to, buy that time and support through the community by listening, understand the perception and trust, and control the narrative with your communications early on. The filter, this is what not to do in 14 days. Don't worry about scheme. Don't make any major changes. Don't go in there and, fire 18 people and do all this other stuff. Just kind of take your time in that 14 days, but you're going to be busy. Don't make any promises you can't commit to. And then, don't build yet. Stabilize first. And I think that's the biggest thing, and one thing that'll help you be very successful as you start your program. So lastly, let's talk about it. Stability creates your ceiling. If everybody in the school is aligned, if people have been evaluated and the community is bought in, if you've done that in the first 14 days, you've given yourself a chance, and you're not playing catch up all year. Hey, I appreciate you stopping by the channel. Like I said, if you drop a like on the video, subscribe and share, I'd really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Keep learning, keep coaching.